Hello friends, happy Monday. Today we will be reading chapter 11 from Skeleton's Don't Play Tubas from the Adventures of the Bailey School Kids series. But before we go over our questions from Friday and I give you our new questions, we are going to say our Kids on Course motto. So repeat after me. I am smart. I believe in myself. I am a great kid. I have courage. I deserve to learn. Today is going to be awesome. Alrighty, so we only had 2 questions for chapter 10. And those were, who caught the students? And Principal Davis was the one who caught the students in the school after hours. And question 2 is, what was the principal listening to? And the principal was listening to band music because he really enjoys listening to band music. So, we have 3 questions before we start our chapter. Question 1. What necklaces did the Bailey School students wear? And question 2. Why did they wear these necklaces? And question 3. Do you think their necklaces worked? So, all 3 questions are about the necklaces that we will learn about very quickly in the beginning of the chapter. It's what necklaces are they wearing, why are they wearing them, and did they work? So, let's go ahead and find out. Howie peeked around from behind the oak tree the next morning before school, motioning for Eddie and Liza to join him. I figured out a solution to our skeleton scare, he told his friends. We don't have a thing to worry about. Howie reached into a brown paper bag and pulled out a long, knotted string. This is for you, he told Liza, and here's one for you, Eddie. Eddie slapped his forehead. Great! I'm supposed to protect myself from a killer skeleton with a piece of twine? What am I going to do, floss his knuckles? Howie didn't laugh. Don't worry, Bone Brains. There's much more. Much more. But before he could pull anything else from his bag of tricks, Melody looked around the huge tree trunk. You can see her peeking around the tree trunk, and they are handing out the necklaces. What are you guys up to? She asked. You're going to be late for class if you don't hurry. Liza grabbed Melody's coat sleeve and pulled her around the oak tree. Howie has a plan to protect us from Claude. Melody giggled. A marshmallow could protect us from that stack of bones. If you don't believe in living skeletons, then you won't mind wearing this, Howie told her. He pulled a tiny paper jack-o'-lantern out of his crinkled bag. Melody sat down on the brown grass and giggled. Why would I want to wear an itty-bitty pumpkin? Remember what Mrs. Jeepers said? Jack-o'-lanterns are supposed to ward off evil spirits, Howie said matter-of-factly. They haven't gotten rid of Eddie yet, Melody kidded, and Claude is nothing to be afraid of compared to Eddie. Howie stared hard at Melody. This is no joking matter. Jack-o'-lanterns were originally used to get rid of dead spirits, and I can't think of anything deader than a skeleton. But Claude is just 3 maids of an old science kit, Melody argued. Old science kits don't do bone dances on kids' backs, Eddie disagreed. I think we'd better listen to Howie. Howie handed the paper jack-o'-lantern and string to Melody. After all, it won't hurt to wear this around your neck, he said, even if you don't believe. And if what Mrs. Jeepers said is true, it'll put a muffler on Claude. It'll prove that he is alive. The only thing this proves is that you have a cracked skull yourself, Melody told Howie, but she threaded the twine through a hole in the pumpkin stem and put the homemade necklace over her neck. Liza and Eddie did the same. Liza's eyes grew big. But what if Mrs. Jeepers sees them? I don't think she wants jack-o'-lanterns in the classroom. Howie nodded. I remembered. I made them small so we can hide them under our shirts. Now let's go. Once inside the classroom, the 4 friends slid into their seats and started their day's work. Mrs. Jeepers was known for giving more assignments than any other teacher at Bailey Elementary. It was hard work knowing that the fall festival was just a few hours away, but the 3rd graders opened their books and got busy anyway. Nobody dared upset Mrs. Jeepers. They were halfway done with their math when Howie kicked Melody in the shin. Did you notice something? He whispered. Melody glanced at Mrs. Jeepers to make sure she wasn't looking, but the 3rd grade teacher was busy helping Carrie multiply 3 numbers together. Melody shook her head to answer Howie. It's quiet, he told her. So? Melody shrugged. Mrs. Jeepers' room is always quiet. The rest of the school is silent, too, Howie pointed out. There's no tuba music. Melody's mouth dropped open, but Howie didn't notice. I was right, he hissed. The jack-o'-lanterns are working. He smiled and pulled out his tiny necklace to prove his point. Howie's face turned a shade of green when long white fingers reached from behind him and slowly circled his wrist. Mrs. Jeepers stood in front of Howie. I do not want these in my classroom, she said in her thick accent. There are many other decorations of the fall season. Please take those necklaces off. Mrs. Jeepers touched her green brooch and flashed her eyes at the other children. Slowly, Melody, Liza, Howie, and Eddie gave their necklaces to the teacher. That is all for Chapter 11. But before we go, I'm going to remind you of our questions, and then you can enjoy your day. Question 1, what necklaces did the Bailey School kids wear? Question 2, why did they wear them? And question 3, do you think their necklaces worked? That is all I have for you. Have a good afternoon. Bye, everybody.